Hello everyone, this is a video that I'm creating to guide you through the workshop creating InfoCube. Since we had bad weather today, we cannot convene, so this is the video that I'm creating. Before going ahead and in discussing the workshop, there are a couple of things that I wanted to mention. One is regarding the exam. The exams are graded for most of you. The ones who have not received the grade yet are the ones that I already have contacted them regarding whether incomplete files or other things that I've requested meeting for. But other than that, for most of the class, we have the grades in. Good news about the grades is that it's been fantastic. I've been looking at the mean. I'm waiting for grading the rest of the class to give you the full statistics of what the turnout is. But at this point of time, I'm very content with the results. Hope you are as well. We will discuss it once we have class again. As I mentioned in the course matrix, on Tuesday we won't have a session, and then on Thursday, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I'm traveling to Norman, Oklahoma, so I will not be in. So basically, for next week we won't have a class. Uh, Good news, hopefully. The assignments for the creating InfoCube and info objects will be due next Tuesday. Um, I know I will not be in. If you wanted to meet regarding the assignment, if you have a problem, you can send me an email. I'll provide my Skype account on Blackboard. So if you wanted to talk and show me the screen, share the screen, we can talk over Skype. I find it very helpful when the instructor is not available, especially co-located with the student. It's pretty helpful to use that. So I'll be available. Send me an email and I will meet with you via Skype. Um, okay, so I'll start doing the workshop for the InfoCube. Before that, a brief touch on the info objects area that we created the last session. Probably for the software that I'm using, I need to interrupt and save the video in probably 3 to 4 sections. So hopefully it's meaningful at the end of the day. Like I mentioned before, what we are going to do is to log into the Hydra server in order to do our development. So log into Hydra. And then go to RSA1, which is the workbench for modeling in Business Warehouse, and this is where we are. So I've created an info area for myself that I've been putting material for different workshops that we have had on the topic. We have created this, so I've moved the info area over here to have a closer look. Please note that the naming convention that I've been using for this info area is different from different from the assignment that you have had. So please follow the naming convention that we have in the assignments. The reason my naming convention is different is that I've created it at different point of time, the objects that I've created. So what I do is just to make sure that I'm creating something that is different from our users, and this is the same thing for the class. In order to make it easier, just please follow the naming conventions. Disregard the naming conventions that I'm using here. The rest of it should be pretty much similar to what you're expected to do in the assignment. The tutorial document specifically is a good guide to walk through the assignment, so please make sure that you are using that as well. So for the characteristics, we have created two: material characteristics and product category, which has been assigned as an attribute to material characteristics. And then we have key figures, quantity, and revenue. Quantity is pretty straightforward, similar to revenue when you're creating it. I'm going to briefly go over the material characteristics when you're creating it. Basically, in the master data, you have to specify the info area of it is the info area that you are working with, which for me is Havocer1. Use the technical name over here. In that way, when we are moving towards the info provider, this info characteristics, this material characteristic should appear over there as well. And then the attributes that we are creating, as you can see, we called on product category that we were creating as the first attribute that we have over here. And then we could see that we have assigned that this is a navigational attribute. Navigational attributes are the attributes that we could drill down on. If you remember the InfoCubes that we were using for the BI, we were navigating through the product category and the vision for the specific dimensions of product that we had in the InfoCubes used in the BI section. So you could make parallels in that sense. So once we make sure that the info objects that we have created here work, again, consult the assignment for making sure what are details to create the material characteristics and quantity. Once you make sure that this is fine, then we can move into the info provider, which is similar to the space that you have for the info objects, but here what we are essentially doing is to create InfoCubes. For creating InfoCubes, as simple as it is, we'll have to right click on our info area and hit create InfoCube. Now I wanted to call it UA cube 1000. So use the naming convention that you are using. I'm using a name that I make sure that doesn't exist, so we don't run into a problem. I wanted to call it GBI reporting 4 because I have created reports before. This is the fourth report I'm creating over here again. For description, consult the assignment. What would be the name that you are assigning over there? Here what we need to make sure is that object type is InfoCube, of course, and then info provider, make sure that you are using standard InfoCube. Now in the ABAP development, when we go over that, I'm gonna talk about what are different options that we will have here. For the sake of this assignment, any InfoCube that is normal standard, we're using the standard InfoCube structure that SAP has. Once you okay, so we are exceeding the letters that can be used in the name of the InfoCube. So I corrected, and hopefully we could create it now. There we go. So once we create the InfoCube, you won't see anything over here until you finish it and activate it. I'm going to actually pause the video over here, move to the next video in order to describe how we are creating InfoCube. So follow on the video 2 for creation of the InfoCube.